Alright, in this video we're going to go over gain staging for musicians, because I do see a lot of mistakes being made, especially when you get a new unit like the gig board or the headrush pedal board or even a Helix or HX Effects or any other type of digital unit. And you can apply these tips and techniques to analog pedals as well, but we're mainly going to be talking about digital units, what it looks like to use a unit like this, like the gig board, or even recording into a computer. The concepts are still going to be the same across the board. So first thing I want you to look at, let's not worry about the master volume right here. I want you to look at the meter on the gig board screen here. I got a bass plugged in, and I do have my rig volume up pretty high, but I just want to show you this example. So if I play, okay, it's getting into the yellow, and then some notes are getting into the red. Okay, that's not necessarily a good thing, because what's happening is you're actually overloading the output of the unit itself. So the first point that I want to make is you want to have every piece of gear in its optimum signal level, so that way you're not pushing more signal into the next series in the chain. Okay, in this case we got the gig board going into a preamp on the it's a Behringer preamp, then that's going into my audio interface, and then it's going into Harrison mix bus. Alright, so the first thing we gotta do is we need to turn this rig down. So let's bring it all the way down to 0. We're going to look at the LEDs here. Alright, so at this point, it's at a pretty good level. For me personally, I like to be a little safer than that. And I like to have my green bars go up 3 bars below 0. You can have 2 bars, you can have 1 bar. It really doesn't matter. But I don't want to get anywhere near that yellow stage, because that's just too close for comfort for me. So what we can do at this point, we can do a few different things. First, you got to think about the overall sound and the tone. If you want your amplifier to have more grit, you can go ahead and crank it up, but that's going to mean that you're going to have to turn something else down after that to make the gain staging work. So if I crank this gain up here, let me turn the master volume so I can hear it. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay, so what I would want to do is maybe next go to the cab and see if I can turn down the cab a little bit to make the output where I want it to be. Okay, so I have a few different options here. I can turn down the rig volume, and that's totally a viable option. Let's turn it down by 3 dB. Alright, I'm still getting into the yellow, so that may not be the spot I want to do that. Because for me personally, I like to have my rig volume about the same on all the presets, which means I need to turn it down somewhere else. So we can either turn the output gain down on the cab, or if you're using an IR, usually IRs run a little hot, so you might want to turn those down as well. I usually run my IR around -12 dB, so that way my output stage is not getting overly saturated and just blowing everything out. So let's keep these gains at 0. And alright, so let's go ahead and bring our rig volume. Let's go ahead and bring our rig volume down. Okay, it's still overloading pretty well. Let's bring it down even more. Alright, still not bad. See how far we have to bring it down though? -8 dB on the rig volume. Okay, and I'm digging in pretty hard. Okay, but you see as I dig in more, that my green bars are kind of flatlining. It's not going, it's compressing so much, it's not getting any farther than that point. So what you can do it right now is you can add in a compressor, which I already have one. Okay, you can turn the gain down on the compressor. The more elements you have in the rig, the more opportunities there are to affect the gain stage. So compressors are always going to affect the overall gain of an amp, because you're pushing the front end of your amp more there, and therefore you're overloading it a little bit more. Like a EQ, some EQs have a level. You can push the level of the EQ even more. All kinds of different ways to do that. So you got your actual amp, you have your cab. I don't want two of those. I just deleted my amp. So once you have your output setting, we're in a good, safe area. Okay, and this can stand to come back up now because my my amp level changed. Let's bring it up 4 dB. Okay, I like that because now let me show you what you can do now. So let's say I want to kick in a white boost in front of that. Okay, let's turn my gain all the way down, volume all the way up. So now when I kick in my white boost, here's before. See, I'm doing the 3 bars below 0. Here's my white boost. Okay, now it's finally getting into the yellow, and it's still a somewhat safe place to be. But if you had your output already in the yellow, and then you have a boost pedal engaged, well, it might kick it into the red, and that's not what you want, because then you're going to be sending a very hot signal, maybe to the front of house or to another device that you're recording with, and you know, you want to also make sure your master volume is staying fairly consistent. So for me, I like to have it around 6 dB. Not 6 dB, but like, 6 on the meter scale right here. Okay. But I know now from experience that the louder I have my master right here, the more signal I'm pushing into my preamp on either a mixing board or something else. And that's also going to adjust the gain stage. So that's why I like to keep mine around in the middle. So that way I'm not pushing too much signal to the mic pre. And it's not overloading the mic pre. Okay. Let's go to this view right here. I'm doing a very rustic video form here, but all right, let me change my link here. All right, so I'm on channel 6. All right, and I'm peaking out around -18, which is actually a really good spot. The more you know about gain staging and the proper signal, the noise ratio of most audio units, like compressors, preamps, whatever else, your -18 dB is a sweet spot to where they want to function normally. If you push them harder, you're just going to get more grit, more distortion out of it, but you don't necessarily want that all the time. That's why a lot of high-end preamps have a master output knob. Like for instance, if I showed you this this mic pre right here, this is the virtual version of the Universal Audio 610B. So you have a preamp right here, then you have your level, then you have your overall output volume as well. So that's just one example of how a normal high-end mic pre would look like. All right, but I hope that makes sense so far. So if I turn my master on my headrush gig board up to 11, now look at my signal on channel 6. See how I pushed it into the yellow and also started clipping? I can physically hear with my ears a clipping digital distortion kind of sound. And that's not what you want either. So just don't assume that, hey, it goes to 11, that you need to crank this master all the way up to 11, because then you're going to be overloading the preamps on the sound guy's mixing board, and he's probably not going to be very happy with you. So around 6 or 7 on the master volume is yielding me a signal that's around negative 18, maybe negative 14 or so. Okay, so when I'm recording an audio track here in the studio, I try to have my peaks be between negative 12 and negative 18. So that allows for the average level to be a nice, comfortable gain stage. And then any peaks that are louder than that, they're not going to get any more than negative 12, which saves me a lot of headache later trying to figure out how to get digital distortion out of my tracks, and that's a headache within itself. So don't ever do that. Don't try to push the unit any more than it has to be. Just keep it a nice, comfortable level. All right, I hope that makes sense so far. And here's the gig board one more time. So I have mine around negative 6, and I'm making sure my output level, is below 0 there. I do have my white boost on. And if you find that your white boost or any kind of boost pedal is just adding too much volume, just bring it down to a level that's comfortable, that you're still getting your gain stage requirements met. See, there you are. We're at 3 bars below 0, just where I want it to be. And I'm happy with my sound. The sound guy behind the mixing board at the gig or wherever is happy with your sound that he's receiving from your device. And everyone's happy. Everyone sounds great. And you're going to have proper gain staging all the way through your signal path. All right. So this has been Dr. McFarland talking about gain staging for musicians. Please give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions or comments about your prior experience with maybe not having the proper gain stage and these units didn't quite sound like you thought they should have, and you just weren't working them the right way. So, which is very much my case. When I first got my Headrush board, I thought it sounded horrible, but once I fixed the gain staging within the unit and going to my mixing board, I couldn't be happier with these Headrush units. So I will see you guys in the next video. Keep rocking. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my videos and my YouTube channel. If you want to see a lot more cool content, be sure to head over to drmcfarlandstudios.com.